Is your partner gaslighting you? How can you know for sure? I'm going to answer that question in the episode today. Welcome to the Dr. Wyatt Marriage Podcast, for developing a long-lasting, happy relationship is the status symbol to achieve, and following my tools is one path to help get you there. I'm your host, Dr. Wyatt, a licensed psychologist specializing in couples therapy. If you have active resentments in your relationship and you're feeling stuck, go through my ER Marriage Intensive. It's my most comprehensive resource to rebuild your marriage in 90 days. To learn more, the link is in the show notes, or go to my website, drwyattfisher.com, and click on ER Marriage Intensive. So last weekend, I did my marriage retreat, which is a part of the ER Marriage Intensive, and it was so nice to be able to meet the couples, because half of the couples there were from ER, and I had met these couples virtually, but I had never met them in person, so it was just great to shake their hand, get to know them, work with them throughout the day. Doing the conference is one of my most rewarding things because I get to help couples on a larger scale. So instead of one-to-one, it's one-to-many. So it takes a lot out of me. I'm exhausted by the end of the day, but it's so rewarding and so worth it. So, is your partner gaslighting you? That's what we're going to be talking about today. To define this term, gaslighting is when somebody intentionally tries to make you second guess reality. They question your take on things. They question your experience. They question your memory. They're trying to make you second guess your memory of reality. So number one, to answer this question, is your partner gaslighting you? The answer is maybe, but it's unlikely. The reason it's unlikely is because most partners are not intentionally trying to manipulate you. They're not intentionally trying to twist around the truth. They're not intentionally trying to make you second guess reality. They're not intentionally trying to make you think you're crazy. For someone to intentionally do that is very rare. So the way you can discern this is your partner an honest person in general? Do they have integrity in general? Do they speak the truth in general? If they do, if they tend to be an integrity-oriented person in general, the likelihood of them trying to gaslight you is very, very small. However, if you are with a partner who does tend to lie in other areas of their life, they tend to manipulate situations in other areas of their life, they tend to trick people in other areas of their life. If you see them doing that in other areas of their life, then the likelihood of them doing that to you goes up. And so that's really one way to think about it. So if your partner is an honest, integrity-oriented person, the likelihood is very low that they're gaslighting you. If they tend to manipulate others and are dishonest, the likelihood is definitely higher. Number two, you have to remember that there's 6 possible scenarios going on in any interaction with your spouse. And this is why partners have different memories of what was said, different memories of the fight, different recollections of how things went down, because there's 6 different possibilities of what's happening. So partner A has 3 things going on, and partner B has 3 things going on. For partner A, the 3 things are how I hope I'm coming across, how I think I'm coming across, and how I'm actually coming across. And partner B has those same 3 things happening. How I hope I'm coming across, how I think I'm coming across, and how I'm actually coming across. So those are the 6 possible scenarios happening at any given time with your partner. And that's why you have a different recollection of what was said, a different recollection of what went down in that argument. It's not because someone is trying to gaslight you. It's because there's different recollections. And every argument you have is going to hit you and your partner in a different way, based on your sensitivities, based on your interpretations, based on your background, based on your self-concept. All these variables are at play when you have an interaction, when you have an argument with your partner, which is why it's very common for each partner to have a different recollection of what was said, of what happened. And when that occurs, don't think to yourself, they must be gaslighting me. That's assuming negative intent. And remember, gaslighting means negative intent. That means your partner is intentionally trying to make you question reality. And so that assumes negative intent right there. And again, the likelihood of your partner intentionally trying to manipulate you to make you second guess reality is very low, unless that's the kind of person they are in general. So that's important to remember. So there's a lot of reasons why people have different memories of what happened in the conflict or in the argument. And it definitely does not mean that you're being gaslighted. Don't just jump to that conclusion. A lot of people are overusing this word gaslighting, and often it's not happening. But what is happening is we just had an argument and we both had different experiences and different memories because of these different scenarios within ourselves that we're grappling with, and because we each have a different emotional takeaway from the argument. Number 3, when you have a conflict with your partner and you're listening to their experience, don't get bogged down in the weeds of that's not what was said, that's not the order of events, because like I just mentioned, you're going to have a different recollection because of your own sensitivities, because of your own background, because of your own narrative, because of your own self-concept. You're going to have a different memory of what went down compared to your partner. So don't get bogged down in the weeds trying to correct the facts because your partner thinks their memory is correct. So what matters more when you're listening to your partner's experience of a conflict, what matters the most is listening for the overall impact the conflict had on your partner. What was the overall impression it gave them, the overall feeling it gave them, the overall core need it stirred up for them? That's what matters way more than the details. So when you're listening to your partner's experience in a conflict, don't get bogged down in the facts. Don't get bogged down in fact correcting, because then you'll start fighting around the facts, and that's not what matters. And that leads me to number 4. When you're listening to your partner's experience and you're trying to stay out of the weeds, you're not trying to fact correct. Instead, what you're doing is looking for the kernel of truth. When your partner describes what you did that hurt their feelings, maybe it was an attitude you had, maybe it was a reaction you had, maybe it was an assumption you were making, maybe it was a behavior you had. When you're listening to their recollection of the argument, your goal in that is twofold. The first thing is what I just mentioned, to not fact correct. That's one of the goals, and just be listening for the overall experience your partner had, the overall impact. The second goal is you're looking for the kernel of truth in what they're describing that you did wrong. You're trying to listen for, what did I do that made that conflict worse? How did I contribute to that conflict? Was I making a negative assumption? Was I being selfish? Was it my words? Were they harsh or careless? Was it my attitude? Was it my behavior? Your partner just got done telling you what you did that could have been better, but it doesn't mean they're 100% correct, because there may have been circumstances on your side that were contributing. Your partner may have a sensitivity on this topic and they're projecting onto you. So when your partner describes what you did wrong in a conflict, remember, it's probably not 100% accurate because of the circumstances and your partner's sensitivities. However, there is probably a kernel of truth in what they're describing on what you could have done better. And that's your job as a listener to discern, what is the kernel of truth here? What is the piece I could have done better in this conflict? And by thinking of it that way, you sidestep the battle of defensiveness. Because often what happens is your partner will describe what you did that upset them, and there's an expectation that you need to own all of it. But because you don't own all of it, you reject all of it. You throw out the baby with the bathwater, and that's why we get defensive. Your partner says you do something wrong, we disagree, so we get defensive. And so looking for the kernel of truth sidesteps that power battle. Because now the goal, when your partner is describing what you did wrong in the conflict, you don't have to own all of it, because it's probably not entirely true. But what you do have to do is discern the kernel of truth. What's the piece here I could have done better? And that becomes a piece that you can own, empathize around, and apologize for and make amends for. And once you've done that, now you flip the roles and your partner has to do the same. Now you get to share your experience of the conflict and what impacted you and how it made you feel and the core need it stirs up for you. And then likewise, your partner's going to have to look for the kernel of truth and what they could have done better in that conflict. So if you think about processing conflicts in this way, it eliminates gaslighting, because no longer are we assuming the worst in each other's intent. You're just trying to gaslight me. You're intentionally trying to make me question reality. That's most likely not happening, like I mentioned. What is occurring is both of you have different experiences, and so your job is to sift through your partner's experience until you can locate the kernel of truth that you could have done better, and then you decide what you can do better moving forward. You both go through that process. So the 4 points I covered on, is your partner gaslighting you? Number 1, I said maybe, but it's unlikely. Number 2, I went through the 6 scenarios that are happening in any given interaction with your partner. Number 3, I discussed how the overall impact the conflict had on your partner is what matters most, not the facts and the details. And finally, number 4, I covered the importance of searching for the kernel of truth in your partner's experience. And remember, if you have active resentments and you are feeling stuck, go through my ER Marriage Intensive to rebuild your marriage in 90 days. The link is in the show notes, or go to my website, drwyattfisher.com, and click on ER Marriage Intensive. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to share it with a friend or a family member. Pay it forward. And please click the 5 stars and leave a review. That shows me this podcast is helping make an impact. If you have questions you want me to address on the podcast, leave a voicemail at 303-578-0618. And remember, you are the only thing you can control. So work on your side of the equation, how you can become a better partner to maximize your relationship improving. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.